Okay, so we just watched Elvis, a John Carpenter directed film starring Kurt Russell. This was a TV special in 1979, so it's 2 years after Elvis died. And it's the first sort of Hollywood response
Excuse
to
me.
burping.
Excuse me.
Hol- uh, Hollywood's first response to the death and the first attempt to try and tell some encapsulated story. Uh, this starts off in the 1969, about the time that he was filming. That's the way it was, where he was coming back to Vegas. And then they flash back to early parts of his life where he's a kid and he grows up, and you get to see his relationship with his mother and him becoming famous. And it goes all the way back to that point where he takes the stage and is successful. What did you think of it?
I'm not a fan.
Not a fan. Why is that?
Well, I think in some parts it rushed, other parts, most of the parts, it drug a long time. Things got drug out. I think Kurt Russell over exaggerated the performances, and I don't know. I just didn't. I was
Did you almost say bored?
I was so bored. I was just I lost.
Oh my
I
lord.
I was distracted.
Um, okay, so there were definitely parts where I'm like, you could have done some editing. Um,
Yeah.
there were some parts where you're just like, I don't know why this shot is extended as the way it is, but okay, that's fine. It's
And
19.
repeated.
Yeah, but it's 1979, and our sensibilities to films and editing is different today than they were then. This was a TV miniseries, so they had to have a certain time requirement to fill. They weren't free to just do whatever times that they wanted to. They had to fill two different nights, and so I bet there was some stretching in that sense. Um, I think Kurt Russell did a pretty good job in general. He looks like Elvis pretty well. I think the performances, I don't know. He seemed to have a lot of extra energy um, that Elvis didn't really do, not, at least from the clips that we've seen. I wish that they had done a little bit more study on the footage that existed because they kind of
Right.
replicated a lot of things that already does exist. And I commented during it that the way Kurt Russell performed most of these songs was probably what most people remembered Elvis doing. They always wanted to kind of say he was frantic on stage and had a lot more energy. Um, he definitely had moments where he was a little frenzied, but it wouldn't. He rarely ever did every performance frenzied, and Kurt Russell performed every performance like he
Right.
was
And the lip.
crazy.
And he kept doing the lip thing
Yeah,
a
so
lot.
I will say, I mean, being the first thing that Hollywood has done since Elvis passed, um, there is definitely a bit of caricature going
Mm-hmm.
on.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely at that time everyone was really focused on Elvis's lip, where he did that in his career, and he even commented that on 1968 special that I made 29 pictures like that. But we just got done watching all those dang movies, and you didn't see the lip as much. So I don't. I think that's sort of caricature, really. And um, so anyway, I don't know. It's a little. The other part I didn't really like about the movie, and is the fact that it's kind of focused on some sensationalized stuff, like the relationship with him and his mother kind of being a psychic bond and all. That's sort of all reported to be things that actually happened, but I don't know. Uh, it's definitely was the news of the time, so I can see why it made it in. That being said, I thought they were really very accurate with a lot of things, more so than I thought was actually revealed back then. So I'm rather impressed with the script and how it was put together so fast, especially at that time, because we at that time I sort of remember there being a lot more um, tabloid news going on, and that's what people mostly talked about. So I'm pretty happy with the way it was presented and the chronological order of things. So that's pretty good. There's only a couple things that kind of stood out that was a little strange. Um, they said that Elvis never performed American Trilogy until the 70s, and so he shouldn't have performed that in 1969. But the point of that being in the song, in the movie, was to show this connection back to his past, and also it's just
And
artistic license.
and they got that one scene mixed up where in the beginning where the girlfriend comes looking for him and says
Yeah,
that
the
the record
Sun
company's
Records was contacting
calling
him.
for him and he hadn't even
Yeah,
cut the record yet.
I
So
don't know if that was done for the DVD release or if that was on the way it was presented on television originally. So that's hard to say. That was definitely a weird edit, but that's that's not too bad. But uh, so interestingly, little side notes is this was the first production that Kurt Russell did with John Carpenter. They went on to do four big movies later. I won't remember them all, but Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China, The Thing, and another great movie. I can't remember.
well, you
Anyway,
did pretty good. You got 3 out of 4.
yeah. So that's kind of cool. I think this was John Carpenter's first thing after he did the movie Halloween, and a lot of directors um, kind of cut their bones in Hollywood doing horror films, but they are kind of stuck in that genre. And I don't know, he got this somehow, and then this led to him being able to do, more features. So that was good for him. They had definitely a great working relationship in their career, so that's cool. Kurt Russell's father, Bing Russell, actually played Vernon Presley, Elvis's father, in this movie, so that's kind of cool. Um, Also read that Kurt Russell married the woman who played Priscilla in real life. They were like married for like 3 or 4 years, actors and actresses.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know what else do I want to say. This is one of a number of little projects on Elvis. The next one that I remember was another miniseries entitled Elvis, and we'll get to that one soon. That was done, I think, in 1990. And I just ordered the Lifetime adaptation of Priscilla's book, Elvis and Me. And so I don't know what'll come in a week or
All
so. We'll
right.
watch that too. But that way you can see it from Priscilla's point of view. But anyway, what would you rate this whole thing?
Well, I guess probably about a 3.
A 3. Yeah, that's probably pretty fair. I mean, I don't want to get into comparing one project to another in general. I mean, they all have, like, I'm not going to say this one's totally better than another one. It's interesting. It's a neat approach. I'm not offended by anything. I just think some edits could have been a little better. And I love Kurt Russell's portrayal. I just think it needed to be a little tamer and maybe a little more variety of the expression of Elvis. It did feel a little bit like a caricature that you'd see on Saturday Night Live or something, but
Well, I'll say it then. I like the first one we saw better than this one. I don't.
yeah, well,
This
they
one.
they attempt to do different things for sure. That one's a episodic television dramatic thing that was showing glimpses of different parts of his life. It was trying to focus on the little moments that made Elvis Elvis. This was really an attempt to tell Elvis's story, things that at that time a lot of people didn't know all these details. Um, so it might suffer in comparison to other things for us, but I think it's not too bad. It's a decent. Like I said, I'm really very impressed with the script. I think it'd been. I'd like to see Kurt Russell do some more with it. Which, by the way, we did just also watch his 3,000 Miles to Graceland, the performance at the end, because why not bookend this whole thing? It was a lot of fun. So um, I'm going to watch that movie again, too. I don't know if you'll want to watch that as well, but we're definitely going to check it out.
We saw that before.
Yeah, we saw it in the theater.
It's a lot of shooting up and
Yeah.
killing and crap.
So, Anyway, I mean, I'll get to it and review it on my own then. All right, so we're gonna keep plowing through these whenever we have time, and hopefully we'll get back to you again soon. Thanks.
See ya.